Welcome to sheet metal training in Fusion 360. So what we have in front of us is a sheet metal component that has already been created. In this exercise, we're going to be looking at a couple of things. The first one being the unfold option. As you can see, I've currently got a component that has already been created. If I go ahead and click on the unfold option, you can see from the menu, it has a couple of options that it needs me to select. So the first one being the stationary entity, the second one being the bends, and the last one being unfold all bends. So if I just uncheck this box for a second and go ahead and select the base of my component as the stationary entity, what Fusion 360 will do is it'll prompt me to select what bends I'd like to unfold. So I can go ahead and select any of these bends out here and try and make sure that all of the bends that I need in this component has properly been utilized. If I go ahead and check the little box there called unfold all bends, it'll unfold the part completely, and if I go hit OK, I can actually um, use or I can modify these sections using the extrude tools, the holes and threads, and so on. I'm just going to go ahead and refold this face again and come back to the original view. I just want to show you guys something here, which is known as um, the sheet metal rules tab. So underneath the modify tab, we have something known as sheet metal rules. Essentially what this is this dictates the way that your model actually behaves or the way it actually is being produced. So for example, what we have here is a steel which has been picked up by default. You've also got aluminum millimeter, which essentially has varying thicknesses between the two of them. So you can see one is 2.5 mil, the other one is 2 mil. You've also got separate bend conditions for each one of these, depending on what material you're using. So from material to material, it differs the way that the product actually behaves. So what we can also do here is we can switch or cycle through between these different rules as well. So on the left here, outside here on the model browser, I've got the option to switch um, sheet metal rules if I wanted to. And there is a visible sort of difference for a second when you switch between different rules and change the properties of your part. Also, just to show you, if you want to create a custom sort of material, you can always click on the little plus symbol here, which essentially enables you to create a new rule from scratch. So you can give it a name, you can give it a specific thickness, the K factor as well, and also apply any specific bend and corner conditions if you had to. You can then go ahead and hit save, and what Fusion 360 will then do is add it to your library. So every time you want to use that physical property for that specific component, you can just bring it in from your Fusion 360 library as well. Um, the second part of this exercise is to go ahead and create a flat pattern. So on the Create tab, you've got the Create Flat Pattern option available. If I just go ahead and click into that, Fusion 360 will prompt me to select a stationary face, again, going with base here. And if I say OK, automatically it gives me this layout. So it's a complete flat pattern of that boxy sheet metal component that we have, which we can now actually export out as a DXF. So if I were to just go ahead and select OK here, export this out as a DXF, it's going to actually ask me where do I want to save this. I'm just going to call this as sheet metal out here and save this as a DXF in one of my folders. Also, just to show you guys, if I wanted to, I could actually switch to the drawing level from this design immediately. It prompts me to select what sort of drawing I want to create. My representation is going to be a flat pattern here, and also I can choose what template I want to make use of. So if I go ahead and say OK and jump into the drawing environment, I can place my base view, and I can go ahead and um, also scale it up, add in edges, and so on, and just go hit OK. Once that's done, you can go ahead and also then add in dimensions like you would for a regular sheet metal part, and I can go ahead and drop these out here on the sides. You can also actually apply the baseline ordinate or even chain dimensions as you go along, depending on what exactly you need the layout to be. So yeah, that is how you can actually bring in a sheet metal component by flattening it out and bringing it into the drawing environment. I'd also like to quickly show you how what happened actually with the DXF that we had actually generated outside of the initial part. So if I go ahead and open this up from my computer here, sheetmetal.dxf is what we had exported that out as. And you can see here, it's automatically been nested in position. And this is the complete outline of the sheet metal component that I actually need. So essentially from Fusion 360, it's very easy to be able to work with sheet metal components, create the shapes that you need, and be able to flatten them out and export them as DXFs for your manufacturing team, making your workflow a lot faster and a lot more convenient. Thank you for joining me today.